to What's Cooking New Ulm. I'm Rebecca Fliszar, the dietitian with the Heart Speak Back, Heart of New Ulm project, working to reduce and eventually eliminate heart attacks in the 56073 zip code. Well, today we have a very special guest here. It's Hanna Weiland. Welcome, Hanna.
Hello.
All right, so let's take a look at the recipe you're going to make and how you chose this recipe. So where does this recipe come from?
A cookbook.
A cookbook that you make with your family at home?
No.
No? You've never made it before?
Well, we've made it.
You've made it?
Yeah.
And you like it?
Yeah.
And that's why you picked it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your favorite thing about this?
The mushrooms.
You like mushrooms, that's a good thing. And we're going to saute those in the pan. What other vegetables are we going to use, and what's the name of your recipe?
We're going to use asparagus, broccoli, and green onions, and the name is ginger beef stir fry.
All right, so we have a lot of heavy greens in this. This is going to be a great way to get in our servings of vegetables. And you know, you've really chosen some vegetables that are being high in some of our important nutrients, so this is great to see. Also, when we saute this up, you're going to see the green is going to really come out and is going to look really great in the color, right? Yeah, and that's why you like this recipe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you like all your nutrients, huh? Okay, so what do we do to get started, Hanna?
We cut the vegetables.
Okay, so you're going to cut the vegetables, and remember when we start with the asparagus, we do find most of our nutrients are going to be in our tip and also going to have our greatest flavor, but actually with our asparagus we can use the entire vegetable, so you can cut that down in bite-sized pieces as far as you want. So how much of that are we going to be making?
About like till here.
Okay, so about 1.5 cups we're going to use of the asparagus, right? All right, you go ahead and get started. Now be careful with this knife. We'll turn it this way. Hanna has already gone through and washed her vegetables. You want to make sure that they're well rinsed. You don't need to use any kind of soap or bleach. Anytime that we're washing our vegetables, it will change your flavor. I also like to mention that if you can get these through your farmer's market or local producers, you're going to have a much higher nutrient value in these as well. So it's important to, go ahead, Hanna, you can start cutting, to buy them as local as possible. There you go. You want to hold on tight here. There you go. And you're a lefty?
Yep.
Okay, now these knives, you know, the best knife that you can use is a sharp knife. You're going to have less sawing back and forth, and it's going to be the safest knife that we can use. You can see Hanna's knife here is really quite sharp. You want to go down one more?
Sure.
Okay. Here you go. We'll get a few more in there. Just like any of the recipes that we feature here on the cooking show, the more vegetables we can add, the better. So although the recipe calls for about 1.5 cups of the asparagus, because of the high nutrient value of these, we do like to add a little bit extra. It's going to add a little more fill at a low calorie, high nutrient value, and it's going to add a lot of great flavor. There you go. You get through there? One more time. All right, so what do you think, Hanna? Does that look like enough, or should we do one more bunch?
One more bunch.
One more bunch, okay, that's great. The protein base of this recipe is going to be a round steak. We use the eye of round in this recipe. This is going to be one of our high protein, low fat. Watch your fingers there, kiddo. There you go. And one more. Perfect. That looks like a good quantity of asparagus there. As I mentioned, we'll be using the eye of round. Again, very high protein, low fat. It is one of our lower cholesterol beef products. So if you do like to incorporate beef into your regular menu, this is going to be a great choice. Okay, Hanna, where are we going next?
To the broccoli.
Broccoli. Perfect. Again, broccoli is going to be important. If you don't get your calcium in, if you don't eat a lot of vitamin C, milk products or other products that are going to have your calcium, this is one way to supplement that. Okay, the best way we're going to do this, Hanna, is we're going to cut here, and then we can cut one more time at the top, okay? I want you to keep your fingers clear. Go ahead and push the way you were on your asparagus. There you go, kiddo. Keep going. There you go. All right, and then we can cut our individual stems apart as well. There you go. Good. Now, Hanna, do you often help in the kitchen?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. About how often? What's sometimes?
3 times a month.
Okay, so that's okay. We're getting you in there. All right, let's break off. We can just break another one. You want to cut that off? Okay, that's good. Keep your fingers clear. There you go. So which of these vegetables is your favorite besides the mushrooms? You like the asparagus? Do you eat that often? Or is it something you only get in this dish?
I like the broccoli.
You like the broccoli? Good. Now, do you usually eat your broccoli plain, or do you like to dip it in something?
Sometimes plain.
Okay, good. That's the best way to have it. We're going to add this onto here. Some of the other ingredients then that we'll be using in this dish will be our low sodium soy sauce. The traditional recipe does call for 3 tablespoons, but because we're watching our sodium level in this recipe, we're going to use about 1 tablespoon. We're still going to have some good flavor with that, but we're going to reduce our overall sodium intake. Remember, sodium is going to increase blood pressure, and it also can contribute to fluid retention, so it is something that we want to keep an eye on. Good. Now, Hannah, if you curl your fingers a little bit so your knuckle is out first, then we don't have to worry about them getting cut at all.
Okay.
There you go. I don't want you to... There you go. While Hannah's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start cutting up the beef. We're just going to cut this in strips. Again, anytime that you're using beef, you want to make sure you have a very sharp knife. You can see that with one clean cut, this is going to be nice and easy on this beef strip. Again, beef is going to be something that we like to keep in our diet, if at all possible, just once a week. If you are having more beef than that, you do want to limit it to your round and your loin cuts. How are you doing there, Hannah?
Good.
Got about enough broccoli? All right, watch your fingers. Hannah's doing a great job. Make sure anytime you have kids in the kitchen, you keep an eye on their knife skills. Hannah seems to have a good handle on that. Remember, your round and your loin cuts in both beef and pork are going to be your leanest cuts, and so that's what we're looking for anytime we're having our beef. You can add those into that tray, Hannah, and then we'll start to move that over to the stove. You got your green onions yet to cut. Now, our green onions are going to have a very distinct flavor. You can see that they're going to be a small bulb. Oftentimes we see the entire stem get discarded. Again, they do have pretty full flavor. So if you're looking to add a little bit of different viscosity to your recipe, you can cut up a little bit higher. Go ahead, you want to cut off the tips here. Actually, when we use our green onion, we're best to use this end. So we'll cut off these little hairy pieces. We'll cut off right about here, way down here. We'll do that, and these white parts are where we have the best flavor. So we'll move these out of the way, and then you go ahead and start chopping these real thin right there. There you go. Here, I'll hold on to this. Atta girl. And we'll go all the way up to the rubber band. You can use quite a bit of green onion for good flavor. There you go. Unlike a full-size onion, these are going to have a very distinct flavor. They are quite strong, but because of their size, they're really going to complement any of your vegetables that you're having. So that's good. Hannah, how about a couple more? I like those green onions. We'll get those in there. Atta girl. Okay, we'll add those into our vegetables. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to actually soften up our vegetables first without adding our beef. You'll notice that we did use 2 cutting boards. We didn't want to add any cross-contamination. Even though we're going to be cooking both of these, we do like to keep them separate when using our cutting board. So why don't we go ahead and check in with Holly, see what's new with Fit in 5 while we turn back to the stove.
Welcome to Fit in 5. If you have an office job or you sit a lot during the day, it's a really good idea to make sure that you get up and take a break every now and again, and to make sure to stretch well. When we sit a lot during the day, we can actually create some muscle imbalances. And I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do today to help stretch out some of those areas that don't maybe get worked or stretched as well when we're sitting. One thing I notice when we all sit at a desk, and myself included, is that the posture tends to be not the best. So if I turn to the side and I'm going to work over a desk, most of us are going to sit with a little bit of a hunch. We're going to sit leaned over the desk, elbows in, and really not with the best posture. So what we want to do is make sure that when we're at our desk, we're sitting up nice and tall with both feet flat on the floor if possible. When we sit up like this, we're actually engaging those core muscles. So we've got the abdominals and the back muscles that help keep us upright to adjust our posture. We want to make sure that we're really aware of sitting up nice and tall. If you've been working at your desk for quite a while or sitting for quite a while, try doing just a few stretches. Maybe just raising the arms up overhead and stretching a little bit from one side to the other. And just relaxing those arms. If we stare at the computer a lot, then we want to make sure that we're maybe doing some neck exercises, so we're dropping the head from one side and then the other. And we might want to close our eyes for a couple seconds, especially, like I said, if we've been staring at the computer screen for a while. Again, we want to make sure that our posture is really good and we're nice and tall. If we have been sitting for a while, it's also a good idea to actually get out of the chair. You know, a lot of us will tend to want to work through our breaks, but studies have actually shown that workers are more efficient in a shorter amount of time if you do take your allotted breaks during the day, or get up for 5 minutes here and there just to refresh and renew your mind. So you can get up out of your chair, go for a walk, or maybe you want to stretch, opening up through the chest again to help offset that less than great posture from sitting at a desk. You can relax. We also, when we sit, we tend to shorten up the hip flexor muscles, which are these muscles that allow us to sit. It's going to be a really good idea. You can take a leg back into kind of a lunge just to stretch out that hip flexor. I'm going to bring my knee forward a little bit here. Just to let it stretch. And then do the other leg as well. We can bring it together. You might even want to stretch the front of the thighs or the quadriceps a little bit and maybe practice some really good balance. You can use your office chair if you want, but you could stand, find an ankle, stand knee to knee. You can even practice letting go of the chair for some good balance. Do that for about 30 seconds on each side is usually a good idea. And then again, just doing some nice shoulder rolls, just loosening up a little bit. And like I said, moving around, refreshing and renewing your mind, getting that body stretched out and ready to go for the rest of the day. For Fit in 5, I'm Holly, and have a great day.
Thanks, Holly. Those are some great tips. Okay, Hannah, so now we've moved back to the stove. Tell me what we're going to do next.
We're gonna put some olive oil in and stir it around.
Okay. We usually like to use about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That's going to coat our vegetables nice and yet keep that fat content low. Remember, our olive oil is high in mono and polyunsaturated fats and low in the saturated fat. This is what we're looking for in good heart healthy principles. That looks pretty good, Hannah. Set that over there. We're going to let that heat up. So, Hannah, what do you like to do in your free time when you're not in the kitchen helping your mom and dad?
Watch TV.
Watch TV, that's good. What else do you like to do, Hannah? I think I've seen you on a pair of skates, right? Do you like to play some hockey?
Yeah.
What else?
Well,
How about basketball?
no.
Go for a walk? Rollerblade?
I go biking sometimes.
Biking, that's good, that's good. Well, great. What else do you like to eat? What are your favorite foods? Besides asparagus and broccoli.
Mom's meatloaf.
All right, that's good. You want to go ahead and add your vegetables. Our oil is nice and heated up. We can see that it's coating the bottom of our nonstick pan. Go ahead and we'll slide those in there. There we go. That's looking good. I'll just rake it all in there, huh? Your arms getting tired?
Yeah.
All right, a heavy platter. Okay, Hannah, we'll start sauteing that up, and we're going to add in some mushrooms as well, yes?
Yep.
Okay. Our mushrooms are going to be high in vitamin D as well. That's one of those nutrients that we're trying to get when we're in the winter. We see a lot of people are a little bit deficient in vitamin D, and it can make a difference on our heart health as well as our emotional health. So that's important to get as many of those in as you can and incorporate those into your regular diet. So this is looking good, Hannah. While this is going ahead and sauteing, you want to go ahead and start your sauce?
Sure.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on this for you too. So, what is our sauce?
It's,
Some beef broth in there?
yeah.
All right. You'll notice that we chose the low sodium variety. That's going to help keep that overall sodium level low. How much of that are you going to put in?
About right there.
Okay, about half a cup. That sounds good. That looks pretty good. What's next?
Some soy sauce.
Exactly. We'll use just a little bit, maybe about a tablespoon. You can kind of eyeball that one. Kind of hard to get out, isn't it? Give it a good shake. There you go. That looks pretty good. What else do you like to put in there?
Cornstarch.
Yep. That sounds good. We'll get some cornstarch in there. That's our thickener. That's going to give it a little density. Okay. How much of that do we need, Hannah? 2.5 teaspoons?
Yeah.
All right, so here's our teaspoon measurement.
Oops.
That cornstarch came up and bit you. All right, so you can dig in there.
Oops.
And get some. That's good. There's one. So Hannah, if I had let you come on and make any food you could, what would it be besides Mom's meatloaf? What do you like to make? Spaghetti, okay, that's good. About half a teaspoon yet? Do a half one. That looks pretty close. Okay, and then we have 2 more ingredients. What's your next two? We've got some ginger and some sugar, right?
Yep.
Okay, so how much of this sugar do we need? 1 teaspoon. As you can see on the vegetables, the green is really starting to come out. That's a good sign that we have some fresh vegetables and that this is going to be a nice dish. What we're looking for on the mushrooms is to make sure that they're getting their moisture is starting to leak out a little bit. They're going to shrink, and that's when you know your mushrooms are going to be done. So you want to have those nice and soft. You want to get rid of the hardness that goes along with that. Okay, what's our last secret ingredient?
Grated ginger.
All right, so we kind of cheated tonight, didn't we? We already have our dried ginger. It would be even better if we had our fresh that you can grate, and that is what Hannah had requested, but we're going with the dry for tonight, so go ahead and add that in there. Ginger has a very distinct flavor, so if you haven't cooked with it before, you do want to be careful and introduce it slowly. Some people really love ginger, and some people prefer not to use it, so it is high in some antioxidants, so good to incorporate, but if you don't like the taste, it could easily be taken out of this recipe. All right. Ready to mix that up?
Yep.
Okay, there you go. You can use that. And get rid of all those cornstarch clumps, huh?
Oops.
Oh, that's all right. My grandma said if you never trust a clean cook, Hannah, so I'm sure she has a lot of faith in you. All right, let's check your vegetables. That looks pretty good. What do you think, Hannah? Should we pull those out? You think those are ready or no? A little longer?
Yep.
Okay, we'll put those on our tray here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit more of your olive oil. That looks good. Remember, we want to coat the bottom. And you're ready to add your beef.
Yep.
I'll hold it up and you go ahead and start scraping. You can use your spatula. There you go. So what are we looking for with our beef now?
Till it gets brown.
Okay, so we don't want to see any of this pink too much. So you can go ahead and mix those up. Now, do you like the taste of that ginger in this recipe?
You can't really taste it.
You can't taste it too much? Okay. That looks good. What grade are you in school, Hannah?
5th grade,
5th grade at, where do you go to school?
Washington.
Good. All right, that's looking good. Keep those moving. Now we don't have to cook these thoroughly. We're going to cook those until there's just a slight tinge of pink with that. We'll be adding the vegetables back in and finishing off the cooking process. As I mentioned, with this recipe, you can add a lot of different vegetables as well. Things like squash, fennel, any of those would fit into this recipe quite well. The fennel, the black licorice taste with the ginger do actually complement each other quite well. So different kinds of onions would also fit in this recipe. All right, you're doing great here, Hannah. And this would go well with shrimp or chicken as your meat base as well. So if you are watching the entire intake of beef, this will be an easy substitution as well. How are they doing, Hannah?
Good.
Okay. Do you have big plans for the summer, Hannah?
Not really.
Okay. Maybe do some swimming? Are you a swimmer?
Kinda.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Those are looking good. As you can see with the mushrooms, they haven't completely been softened, but when we add these back in, we're going to finish that out. Again, you see these on the top are finished out. There's some water or their moisture is leaching out. That's what we're looking for. But you can see this great green color is really showing that we're high in nutrients. We have a lot of vitamin K in here. Do be aware this is a recipe that will be high in vitamin K. If you are consuming Coumadin or on that medication through your physician, this would be something that would be regulated in your diet. Okay, Hannah, you think we're ready to add these in?
Yep.
Okay, scrape them on in there for me. That looks good. Give them a good mix up. You tell me when you're ready to add your sauce, okay?
Okay.
So maybe if we threw some red peppers or yellow peppers in there too, that would really add some great color as well. This is a nice, easy stir fry. You can see that we're making this in a one-pan meal, which a lot of people are looking for. So minimal dishes, not a lot of prep time, and we're going to have a really great meal. Hannah and I went ahead and made some brown rice ahead of time. Remember, this is going to be a little bit higher in fiber, a little bit better in nutrients than a regular white rice. It's going to be very low in sodium, and that will be the carbohydrate for this recipe as well. You ready for that sauce, kiddo?
Yep.
Okay. Here you go.
Oops.
Yes. Push them all to the side.
Yep.
Okay. We're going to give all of the vegetables and the meat a light coating of this. Again, if you do like the ginger, it would be something you could sprinkle on top when you're done. Yeah, go ahead and mix it up, Hannah. That's looking great. Once we have a full coating of that, we'll go ahead and I'll plate your rice for you so we can see what this is going to look like when we're done. You let me know when you're ready over there, Hannah.
Okay.
Remember, about 1/3 of a cup is 1 carbohydrate serving, so we do limit our rice portions to about 2/3 to 1 cup of rice. If you are a diabetic, that's going to count as 3 exchanges for a full cup of rice. I think that's looking pretty good. Should we plate that up?
Sure.
Okay. We'll bring your spatula to her. Go ahead and put a couple scoops on there so everybody can see how that's going to look. There you go. Perfect. Put on there however much you would eat, huh, Hannah? Perfect. And that's it. Why don't you hold that up so everybody can see what it is you made there, Hannah? That looks pretty darn good. You did a great job, Hannah. You're going to see we're going to have a lot of high nutrient vegetables in there. We have our lean proteins, and we have a really nice high fiber, whole grain carbohydrate in this as well. So this is a really nice, complete meal, and it looks pretty tasty. So I think I'm ready to eat. What do you think? All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Hannah. I sure appreciate you being here.
Yep.
All right. That's it for this week's episode of What's Cooking, you all. I'll see you next week.